Hi everyone, we'll talk a little bit about error handling today. We want to avoid a program that crashes or shut down given that some unexpected behavior happened. Let's say a user provided a wrong input, or there's a logical error or an expected behavior, or some file is not there for us to use it. Anyway, any behavior that we don't want our program just to halt, it's interesting for us to have some sort of alternative that our code will go there and handle that for us. For example, let's say we have a function called readInt, and this function right here will simply return the int of a value. So let's say we have return int right here, and I want to return the input from my user, and the user should just type something like please provide a number, and then let's put this into a different line just for the sake of exhibition here. Okay, and let's after that we'll call our function, and we'll say that print, and we want to print the read input. Okay, so and then of course we'll say that let's say this result here, result and space, and then we will include that. Okay, and let's go ahead and run this function for us, and that function there, let's load, and it's gonna pretty much execute the input sequence for us. Oops, not input, but int. I'm sorry for that. Now we can go ahead and let's say we provide a number like 42, and the result is 42, no problem there. But what would happen if in this case right here, we would provide a string, as in cake? Then we have a value error and our program just halted. So we have an value error for an int, which is expected, and we provided the word cake here. The thing is, after we provide a value that was not predicted or not properly handled by our function, our program just simply go there and crash it. So how can we make sure that at some point we'll be able to at least handle an undesired behavior? Well, we can verify with if this analysis, if a value is an int, if not, do this and do that, but pretty much commonly done in most programming language. We can put this inside a try and catch operation. So let's get rid of this this output here so we can work better, and let's do the following. Let's put this into a try. Mostly you know this as a try and catch. But the idea is we're going to execute this, we're going to try to execute this, and in case it doesn't work, I'm going to go there and I'm going to return an error, right? So in this case right here, I'll just, since we know that we're checking for a value, we can simply say, hey, if the exception right here is a value error, do something for me. And what's going to be this something? We'll improve we're going to print it out a friendly message, right? So we're going to go there and say like print, and we're going to say print, please provide a valid int. And then of course we have to, since we're doing this, let's just go ahead and print the variable that we have there. And let's call our function. Since we are doing the prints here, we don't need to return anything anymore, so we can just call the function directly. Okay, so if we run this here and we provide a valid number, so no surprise there, the value is just printed out. Okay, but now let's provide a text like we did before, and we provide cake. Now, even though the program ended, we did not have an error properly displayed that halted our program. We had an error, but it was handled by our exception value error. So the signal that this here was try attempted and it did not work, issue a signal for value error, and that triggered this message for us saying that please provide a valid int. As you can see here, we're working with an error that we know where it's coming from. We know there's a valid error, but we don't necessarily need to work with this. We can work with a different kind of error. So let's say we are working with a connection error, which we are not clearly doing here, we know that, but just to show that we can catch many different errors, right? And let's see if you can figure out the outcome of this. If we provide a text as we did it before, let's say cake again, we knew that the error that was being triggered was a value error connection. A value error, but now we are trying to catch a connection error, which means that if we provide a value error signal, we'll see that this value error signal is going to be triggered, but it's not being captured by our connection error right here, which is probably not very useful for us, so we should know which kind of error we're expecting, right? The thing is, to figure out which kind of error you're trying to capture, I mean, sometimes it's trivial. In this case, we are definitely checking for a value. If you're checking for a key, or if you're trying to make a download and you have a connection error and stuff like that, that's pretty much expected. But a couple of times we won't be able to figure out what those errors are. So if that's the case, we can simply say, well, we're going to try to catch this error, and then we're going to try to catch any other error, just simply because we don't know which error we might occur here. So we say, let's say, change the message right here. So here we're going to say just error, and then here we're going to provide that provide a valid int. So let's see how that behaves right now. Okay, and then if we provide cake here, the last one was triggered, and why that happened? Because it tried to capture with the connection error. Since it did not happen, it went to the default case. Think of this as a if, else if, and a general else. So if nothing was captured before this, we're going to execute this exception if I don't know how to handle it properly. Okay? Okay. Needless to say, you have several different errors like OS error or connection error as we saw it, zero division errors, and so on and so forth. So we can investigate which kind of signals we want to capture. Of course, if you know the exact kind of signal you're looking for, that's perfect. If you don't, make sure you're using a general except, so at least you know where to look for if something went wrong. So in this case right here, it's a small piece of code, but clearly I will know where to look at it. In the same way, if you have big piece of code, if you have properly placed try it except, you're going to be able to dive into your code and pinpoint where the errors are exactly. Okay? So thank you and happy coding.